Hello everybody. My name is Jonas Melén. I work at the Swedish Transport Administration, or Trafikverket. My company or authority has been mentioned several times today. I hope I can meet some of your expectations during my speech. I will talk about how we today work to reduce climate impact in the infrastructure that we build, maintain. I work as a purchaser here in Gothenburg. I'm also program manager for this program from the procurement perspective. First, a little bit about Trafikverket. We are responsible for the long term, for the whole system, the roads, railways, shipping and aviation. But on the day-to-day basis, we focus on the operation, for the construction, operation and maintenance of roads and railways. 6,500 employees. We are not doing the services by ourselves. We're buying the services from our contractors and consultants. From Skanska, for example. NCC, Peab, not to forget. They are also here today. The business volume, about 5.5 billion euros a year. This is a very brief overall map of Sweden. I can just say that we have 12,000 kilometers of railway, almost 100,000 kilometers of state roads to take care of. Our environmental requirements today in all our contracts are these conditions, very briefly. Contractors has to set up environmental management, environmental plan. They have to follow Euro norms regarding vehicles, and they are not allowed to use certain chemical products or hazardous substances. These demands are not enough for today's challenges. We are not using the fully potential of what the market can give us today. That's obvious in regarding demands from the contractors. I will come back to demands on the contractors. We were today in this before lunch. We talked about some from Skanska. They told the audience that we are not focusing on climate at all. We do focus on climate. In all bigger projects, we have to do a climate budget for the emissions. So in all larger projects, we do take in consideration what the climate impact will be in different alternatives for each project. This is a part of the decision that we take for each and every project. That's what we do before we go out to the market. But now what we can have as a condition for the suppliers who will come in with tenders. To set up the requirements, we go out from a number of goals and visions. And we have the vision in this project to build in year 2050 to build infrastructure without net emissions of climate gases. If we break it down to 2025, we see that we have to reduce emissions by 30%, and more closely 2020, we see that we must at least reach 15% lower climate impact compared to today's level. We have these figures in percent, so it's not the absolute figures, the total figures, but it's percent figures, and they are related to the average level of what we know today, of our knowledge today, how much climate gases are used in the typical works that are used in our roads, when we build roads, tunnels, and bridges, for example. So we set these goals not from best practice, that's a correction I have to make, but what we know today, what is the average level of climate impact, and the percentages are referring to that. To define a performance level is not so easy. That is our focus this year, and we are doing we defined the environmental focus with help from a tool, a system. We have talked about many different systems. We have our own system. We call it climate budget tool. And from this, with help from this tool, we will give the contractors targets to perform better. During this year, we will try to use a number of pilots just to analyze the consequences if we use firm demands in our contractors, if we put penalties for the contractors who don't fulfill the contract, or if we use incentives just to stimulate and see how much better can our contractors perform. So this is the year that we try to find out how long can we come with the knowledge that our contractors have today. Maybe they are ahead of us. I think so, in some ways. And the motive is that, as you know, the infrastructure, the building, and the maintenance represent approximately 10% of the road and railway's total climate impact. We are not looking at the cars and buses driving on our roads, but our part is 10% in the life cycle. This tool that we have is based on an ISO standard, and we are looking in the materials used in our contracts and what is our best knowledge today about the methods, how much the working methods give in emissions. So that you can find default values in this system. And with default values for emission factors and how much resources we have the emissions, and therefore we can say that this is a decision tool for us. We can measure the typical works that we use, that we procure, what should be the standard emission from this project. And this tool you can find on our homepage, and it's open and available for everyone. To give an example how we in the future, near future, will see requests for tenders, is that we focus on projects larger than 5 million euros. We will use our climate budget tool, and we will send a climate budget with the request for tender. This is saying this is our baseline. With our known experience, this is the baseline that has to be fulfilled. Goals could be set in a contract with a lower level. That means better performance. the contractors have to fulfill these targets, and then maybe an incentive will be paid out. And we really think that functional requirements is the best way to go. We think that the contractors has the drive to really find out the best methods, the best materials, not we as a client. We are now working with our contractors to get acceptance for this method, and also the what you say, branschråd, Sveriges byggindustrier. We are trying to get acceptance for this among a larger number of contractors and consultants. And we will test this during 2015. Just to show a last picture is, sorry, it's from Stockholm, Anneli, sorry about that. But they were first out, and we have 2 requests for tender out. And the goal for the contract is to find savings for 10% in relation to our own assumption of what should be a conventional building method. Okay, that's for me.
Thank you. Jonas, let us just take the question that came up earlier today from Skanska. Johan, when will you pose the questions to the contractors? Could you build a CO2 emission-free railroad or a road? Is it really possible to work that way?
Well, in our vision, we have that demand come in 2050. Maybe not so high ambition, but that's the roadmap that we look when we look. In certain projects, you might find it possible to reach extremely good environmental performance, but our figures are for the whole infrastructure in Sweden. The demand for each and every project will be individually, and some projects will have easy to reach 15%, and some of them will have tough to reach 5%. But some of them must reach more than 15 to land on the average figure of 50%.
So it's different for different
yes.
projects. Thank you.